Jim McAllister.
Yo,
Welcome
yo.
back, sir.
Thanks.
Second round.
That's right. Good to be back.
Yeah, I appreciate you, man. So for the viewers, we've done this once before, but unfortunately or fortunately, I get to sit down with him again. So let's start with Nepal. You visited Nepal right after the revolution.
That's right.
Did you see any fires that still burning?
So it was crazy. Pretty much every government building was burned down.
Damn.
Like every government building.
This is...
And I mean, they say it'll take decades to build it back. And so it was really crazy. And that's really, but that's all they touched is government buildings. So everything else, all the historical buildings, everything else was fine.
So normal
They
business?
targeted only government buildings.
That's insane.
Yeah.
Was there like a military presence when you were there? What? How many days after the?
It was probably about a week or two after.
Week or two after.
Uh-huh. And
heavy military presence.
It was no. I didn't see any military presence because it calmed down very quickly, and the whole attack happened, as I recall, in I think less than a 24-hour period. So it was very rapid. They just went and torched every freaking government building very quickly, and the only exceptions to government buildings were maybe the houses that government people lived in, and so it was an uprising by the Gen Zers basically, and they were really fed up with the corruption of the Nepalese government, and that's what kind of caused the uprising. And then the government's response was cutting off their social media, and they said, that's it. And so that's when they went crazy, and they were completely successful because they kicked out their president, and they brought in a interim president that everyone likes, and there'll be a new election, I think, in March or so. But they got everything they wanted. They got their social media back. They got they still want to work on the corruption and all that, but it was a huge win for the people.
What was the energy on the ground? Like, were people excited about what's to come?
Yeah, but it was sad because like some of my friends over there, some of their very close friends were killed. I mean, they showed me pictures of bullets through them.
Are these part of people that part of a revolution?
Yeah, part of the Gen Zers. I mean, a lot of them died because the military, they shot back. So a lot of civilians that were part of the protest, they died, and so a lot of people died.
That's unfortunate.
And but it had a good ending, and so it was really showed the power of the people, and I kind of hear we're kind of like here. Mexico Gen Zers are now starting to do that as well about the drug cartels. They're saying, "Hey, we've had enough of this," because it's obvious that their president is completely in cahoots with the cartels. She says she's now saying that it's fascism to go against the cartels.
This is the first time I heard that. Yeah. What's the argument? Like what? Is fascist to go against?
Of course, that's just that's the Marxist theory is accused the
her rise to power is mind-blowing. There was like over 30 people that were her opponents that got killed during the last election. So
I'm sure she's horrified at being killed. She's probably getting all kinds of kickbacks. So she can't allow the cartels control her for sure. 100%.
The cartel controlled Mexico for as long as decades. I can remember.
Yeah, decades.
So like there gotta be an end. Mm-hmm. I see a good possible way of ending.
Well, of course, Trump is now discussing going in there, of course, and the guy that heads in Congress heads a committee for the strategy against cartels is Dan Crenshaw, who will be at our dinner in a couple of days, and so that's something we can talk to him about. But that's one of the things that there's a discussion of us going in and taking care of business ourselves because Mexico's not going to do it.
Okay, so if my thing is this, it's always the logistical aspect, because this would be a full-on war. It wouldn't just be a military operation at that point because...
my guess is it would be a targeted attack where the the cartel leaders would just get their houses and themselves just.
The way I see it, because if the cartel owns the government, that means the military of Mexico is loyal to the cartel and not its government, correct? And there are plenty of cartel members inside of our borders, despite the great work ICE is doing right now, gathering them up. Imagine the war that they would wage.
Good point.
Inside our
good
border.
point. No telling where it would lead. So yeah, who knows where it would lead? But it's it is a problem, and unfortunately, it is the American consumer that's keeping the cartels alive by buying the freaking drugs and all that. So I mean,
That is true, but our government could possibly take a steps, like we just, in my view, in the funding bill that just passed, they snuck in a amendment in there to attack hemp, to go after marijuana companies who are operating legally within the border of U.S. It's supposed to go into effect next year. To me, I'm like, why are you opening the market for the cartel to take over when American companies can profit?
Totally agree.
Legalize it.
It should all be legalized and taxed. I mean, it's insane that it's not. I think the vast majority of voters would support that. And so it's
so how do we get to the point when you're right, you're absolutely right. Vast majority of the voters support that. Vast majority of the voters support term limits, but the representatives that we get, it seems to be going against the will of the people for whatever it might be. And to me, the cartel one the marijuana law was an odd one because it's estimated to be over $20 billion. So if you're taking $20 billion out of American companies and handing it to the cartel, who's the lobby group that's making you pass that bill?
Yeah.
So it's not just the Mexican government that's in bed with the cartel. Is the call coming from inside the house?
I would agree with you on that. I mean, Mexico is the corruption level is sky high, and in our country, it's pretty damn high too.
Yeah, we just
not
hide
as
it
high
a lot
as theirs,
better.
but we hide it better, and it's not quite as bad. But it's still bad.
I could make an argument that ours may be even worse because look at how much money is like going out of our country. We had like $38 trillion worth of debt. I'm 36. You're a few years older than me. But like, I'm worried about the next generation. We can't keep kicking the can down the road and expecting. And Gen Zers, I gotta say, I'm like, every generation talk bad about the next one.
Yeah.
Look what they've done in Nepal. Look how brave they are in Mexico today. So like, maybe America needs Gen Zers to step up here at home.
Yeah.
Maybe they have the solution to the problems that my generation and yours have created.
No, you're right. I mean, there's no doubt. I mean, the debt's crazy. I mean, if it wasn't for the relief we're getting from the tariffs, I mean, it'd be that's at least a valve that's reducing the debt, that's helping. And but if it wasn't for that, it would just be completely still just going through the roof. And so,
how do you feel about the possibility of President Trump giving every American $2,000? Well, certain Americans. I'm sure you're not going to fall into that bracket to get the 2,000, but
I'm not a big fan of that, really. That's just handouts. I'd rather go to something more useful, like just all of it going to reduce the debt. But then again, when you're a politician, you've just got to make as many people happy as you can. So, I'm glad that money is coming in. And, even with that, he would, that 2,000 that would potentially be going to everyone, that would be just some of the revenue that's coming in, not all of it. And so,
absolutely.
And again, you've got to make certain compromises here and there to stay in office and everything else. So I get it. You can't be like, Rand Paul, who votes no on everything. And you've got to compromise. You've got to, and so, I'm not a big fan of it, but if a massive amount of revenue is coming in and a fraction of it is going to just as a free handout, then I'm not like that's not a giant deal to me, I guess what I'm saying.
I got mixed feeling about that one because during COVID, when they started handing out money, everybody just took that money and spent it immediately. But now that I look at the state of our economy, that $2,000 could help people be bailed out of. We have maximum credit card debt. We have maximum delinquencies now compared to the last few years on home mortgages. Um, there seems to be a lot of people struggling to catch up with their payments. So that $2,000, in my view, if it's going to go to repaying the debt of the Americans or the American government, but if you're going to hand $2,000 to people and they're just going to go spend it at the bar, I don't
Yeah,
know
that's
how I
the
feel about
problem. It's
that.
just a one-time handout as opposed to something that's going to just make. I mean, like the housing thing. It's like you look at the the ratio of average household income to average median home price. It used to be like this. This is the home price, and now it's like this. It's like so home prices are just unaffordable for most Americans,
Yeah.
and that did not used to be the case. And so, giving someone a one-time $2,000 check is not going to do a lot. It's more we need to figure out real solutions to long-term problems.
Well, you're in real estate. You
Mhm.
run a huge real estate firm out of the Texas Triangle.
Yep.
You're in San Antonio too, as well.
Yes,
Yeah.
San
Okay.
Antonio, Austin, Houston, and
So,
we cover all the smaller markets in between.
nice. Where do you think this housing crisis, is it inflationary that we are here, or is it the banks?
Well, we because of just too many regulations and things that really drives up the cost of developing a house, building a house, and so there's a lot of red tape and other things that are unnecessary that drive up the cost. And then we've had during COVID and post COVID, we've seen construction prices rise a lot, which just the cost of lumber, cost of cement, et cetera, has gone up a lot. Now, granted, it's not continuing to spike like it was. It's kind of leveled off, but it's still at a pretty high number compared to where it was. And then, the big elephant in the room is the interest rates. That are people were getting mortgages at 2 point something, and now it's 6 point something, and that makes just a giant difference. So I mean, just houses are just not affordable for most people, and that's a giant problem.
I dabbled in real estate myself, and I've done a lot of rehab, a lot of new build, but the new build aspect of it happened during COVID, so everything was in hopium land. You just build it. Every month you waited, you got more money out of it. So it was insane. But when I looked at the houses when I was doing flips, if I purchased a house that was built in 1940s, 50s, that house was in better shape than the house that was built in 70s or 80s and 90s.
Mm-hmm.
So more regulation from the government did not equal to better quality of home.
Oh no.
So I can't wrap my head around why have more regulation if your consumer protection has gone
It's
lower.
just it'll take like let's just say you're a developer. It'll take months and months and months, in some cases years, to get all the permits you need to even start a development. And that means that their cost of developing the subdivision or whatever it is just so much higher, and so it has nothing to do with the quality of the building necessarily or the house. It's just the being able to break ground, being able to even it's
So the paperwork process,
absolutely. So and then also time is money. If you're a developer,
Yeah.
and it takes you 2 years to get your project started versus 9 months, you've got to borrow money and then that money you've got massive amount of interest to pay back, and so if it takes you longer to develop it, less profit. So you've got to charge more, and so it's
and your predictability comes down. You can't plan
right. The
for
risk
2 years from
risk
now.
goes up and everything else, and some places like Austin, which is Travis County, which is a total freaking nightmare. You never know if you're going to just get you buy a piece of land. You never know if you're going to just get shut down. Oh, you can never develop this now because we determined we saw so and so bird on your property, and so sorry, that property you just bought for $10 million is worth nothing. And so And so, or it takes a guy in Travis County, a developer, 5 years to get a project off the ground. And so, so those kinds of things drive up real estate prices dramatically, whether you're talking about homes or commercial or industrial or anything. And so all that's really out of control, and that has a lot to do with the high prices, and it just makes everything more unaffordable. And even down to, if a shopping center costs more, then they've got to charge more rent, and then that gets passed down to the consumer.
the domino.
So it costs you more to get your hair cut because of that,
And
so
the domino goes all the way down. And
Mhm.
do y'all deal with investors, or is just
Oh yeah.
So
we're private. We're private equity.
you're private?
Mhm.
Okay, so the firm. Okay, so then you have the investors that you're dealing with on top of it, that you have to do more convincing at that point now.
Yeah.
Where does that red tape come from? Does that come from the state or federal government?
It comes from
Locale.
The answer is yes. It can,
So both.
kind of both. Yeah, both. And
Okay.
and there's a lot of different entities that have different control areas, and the county, the city, some federal things. And so, but it's but there's definitely we need to really work on getting real estate development streamlined, where it can be done quickly with less risk of just getting shut down for a stupid reason that makes no sense. And so all that needs to happen to make things more affordable for the consumer, because that's probably the number one problem we have right now in our country is everything's unaffordable.
Yeah.
Everyone's at wit's end because they can't afford groceries. They can't afford, of course we saw that, we're thank God past the Biden years where inflation was just ravaging out of control. But now, now with Trump, the inflation's, at a normal level, but it's still, everything costs so much. And so, so there's still, because even if inflation's at zero, prices are still much higher than they were 4 years ago.
Yeah.
And so, and it's a tough situation because actually the economy will have huge negative things if inflation goes negative. So it's like you have a whole nother set of problems if inflation goes negative. So really, the only way you work out of it is you keep inflation low, and then you hope that wages rise more than inflation. For example, during the Biden administration, inflation, I forgot how much it averaged, 9% or something like that. Okay, great. If during that time, if wages increased 12%, then great. Inflation went up, but wages went up. And, but the only person that would hurt is the person that just had a bunch of money in a savings account that didn't work. And so, but otherwise, that's okay. But under the Biden administration, inflation raged crazy, and real non-government wages decreased. Not only did they not increase at around the same levels, but they actually decreased during those 4 years. And so that just devastated the middle class. And so, unfortunately, you just can't wave a magic wand over that and have that problem fixed overnight.
You're right. Because when looking at it, the wages for some people rose, but for the majority of people, it didn't or even declined. Because to me, every time I look at the economy, and it's like I live in a different economy than you do, than everybody else that you walk across, and it seems like the middle class is getting taken more toward the lower class, and the upper class is getting into the class.
They're not even middle class anymore. They can't afford groceries,
and that's the scary thing for a nation of our size and our expectation, because we got used to being consumers, right? So that's part of our culture. And when part of it, I was reading that 12% of U.S. Own like 80% of the stock market. The other 30 owns like the other like 20%, and the last 50% just have debt.
Yeah, that's right.
So like, well, you look at that I see India in a short few years.
Right. Well, and you look at, during the government shutdown, we all, the first thing was, all the SNAP benefits are going to get taken away with the government shutdown. Then we started looking at it and said, look at this gargantuan percentage of Americans that are on SNAP.
How?
And it like quadrupled under the Biden administration. So we have they can't afford, because middle class Americans are having to buy groceries with SNAP, or not buy, get groceries
Yeah.
with SNAP, and so so that is just we're in a very dangerous situation, and again, you can't change that overnight because you can't have inflation go negative, then everything crashes, and you can only have wages rise at a certain amount, so you just kind of have to work your way through it slowly. So I mean, so you got to, chip away at the debt, make the debt go less and less and less slowly instead of more and more and more, and then create economy strong enough where wages start rising again, which that they've already started rising, thank God. But there's just such a big gap now between the wages and where the prices are now, that the wages have to go up a lot before people in the middle class are able to live like they did pre-Biden.
But we see the wages go up, but we also see the employment get weaker. The job numbers last few months have not been so great. The federal firing has been reversed, so that's going to help it. Well, it's not going to hurt it much more, but job market is weak now. So like if the wages go higher and more people are losing their jobs, and with AI moving in, like Amazon talked about 6,000 people losing their job within the next year.
Yeah.
Every company's automating.
Right.
So a source of revenue is going to go lower from my view, from what I've seen.
And well, there's going to be a big shift in people's what they do for work. AI is as we all know, complete revolution. Just kind of like most people say it's much larger than the tech.com revolution, much larger. And we saw when that happened, it changed, a lot of industries that were viable before, and then new fields were opened up. And so that same thing's going to happen again, but there's going to be, but there's a transition. There's a period where, with AI, I mean, just I don't know, maybe no one needs people at McDonald's to take orders anymore, whatever the case may be.
It's already looking that way.
And so, but then AI is going to create new opportunities for employment, different opportunities, and so those people that did that are going to now have to get a different skill set and do something else. And so there's going to be a lag, and that's we're kind of seeing that right now as AI is coming in and replacing human jobs. Again, it's going to create a lot of great opportunities. Okay, make things more efficient, make things better, which is going to open up new frontiers for us. But unfortunately, for a lot of those people that are not trained for the new frontier job, it's going to take a while.
Do you run a multiple office firm? Have you started implementing it in your own company of like how AI can improve Rock Spring?
Yeah, we have a whole team in our company that is really focused on AI doing things to make everything we do more efficient. Absolutely.
So you're already implementing those in your business already. What made you?
I think most companies are.
That's
I really think most people are.
Yeah. Most companies,
and you know what? If you're not, you're losing.
Well,
you have to.
Not every company has the funding to focus on that, though. A lot of companies out there, they don't even have the funding to spend on marketing to grow their own business. Right. They're struggling from day to day. You're functioning at a different scale than. Like I was looking at the number of like small businesses in the U.S. and how many of them succeed and how many of them fail. It's incredibly like low success rate. Yeah. But granted, compare that to other countries, we're incredibly high.
Yeah.
So I'm not sure everybody else has the same opportunity that you have to like invest those funds and time into growth. But let me ask you this: what made you? You're the founder of Rock Spring, correct? What made you do it? Why real estate?
Well, I kind of grew up in a real estate family. My dad was in real estate. My older cousin, who's kind of like my older brother, was a real estate guy, and I went to UT for college in Austin. And the summer before I graduated, I got an intern job at CBRE, Coldwell Banker at the time, and I liked them. They liked me. They said, "Well, hey, you got a job, kid. When you get out, if you want it." I said, "Hell yeah!" And so I started off my career there for the first 7.5 years and loved it. I was an industrial broker, and then moved to kind of form Rock Spring after that, and
Nice.
in 1993.
1993.
Yeah, so I've been doing it a long time.
Oh, wow. That's been a minute. So you've seen this market go up, down,
Oh,
crash,
absolutely.
stop,
Yeah, when I
and
started,
you survive it all.
I started at CBRE in 1986, and that was when Houston had this. At the time, 80% of jobs in Houston were either direct energy or energy related. 80%, and oil went from $60 a barrel, and they thought it was going to go to 100, and instead it went to 15. And I mean, Houston was, you've never seen anything. It was the worst downturn I think of any major city ever. And those were the circumstances where I started my career. So
That
it's like,
was
hey kid, here's a cubicle, go make some money. And by the way, there's no deals in this town. And so,
Good luck,
so it was a tough way to start. But no, yes, I've seen a lot of ups and downs.
Do you see any cracks in the market because I got into real estate right after the 2007 crash, and everybody was panicking because they were going through the hardship of it. In every chaos, there's opportunity to be for somebody else to succeed. Unfortunately, that's how the cookie crumbles. Do you see any cracks in the market that's like a little bit the interest rate or the price difference of people's affordability level to the prices that they can purchase a home nowadays? The rental aspect of things going lower and lower even now. Do you see any of the cracks?
Yeah, there's a lot of cracks. A lot of what we've already talked about. The high interest rates, high development cost, all that. So those are all cracks that are that I have to deal with in real estate. But the good news is that the influx of jobs and population growth into Texas is historically high.
Yeah.
And Texas is by far leading. I mean, everyone knows that kind of Florida and Texas are where everyone's running to. And right now, Texas is even outperforming Florida quite a bit.
Yeah.
Florida's gotten pretty unaffordable, and one of the highest. The number one place that people are coming from when they migrate into Texas is from California. What's surprising is the number two one is Florida. You wouldn't guess that.
Yeah.
And so a lot of Floridians are moving to Texas. And so we have the good luck of having a massive amount of population growth and job growth flooding into Texas because of our state governance is so much better than just about anywhere else in the United States. And I mean, Florida does a great job too in their governance, but we're just so pro business. As much as I've complained about how hard it is to get developments off the ground, it's easier than most other places, which are just even more of a nightmare.
Fair and compared to other states, yeah.
And so we have that tailwind of massive population and employment growth. So that kind of makes up for a lot of the problems like the interest rates and things like that.
One thing I always give Governor Abbott credit is he's like the Trump of Texas. How Trump went over the Middle East and he was the salesman for NVIDIA, OpenAI, just making deals happen after deal happen.
Well, even Perry did a great job.
Yeah, Perry did an amazing job as well.
He really kind of started the ball rolling, where he was kind of the only governor in the United States that was really out there hustling jobs. And
he did amazing too.
And he did a great job in bringing jobs to Texas, and I think Abbott's kind of continued that. And so for sure, our governance, not only is it low regulation, pro business, but they're also out there cutting deals to bring people into the state.
Speaking of
tax incentives and other things like that.
Speaking of good elected officials, you have shown your support for Dan Crenshaw, Congressman
Yes,
Crenshaw.
absolutely.
Why Congressman Crenshaw?
Well, a lot of reasons. You know, he's a Navy SEAL war hero, and so someone that has seen that kind of active duty and been in those wars and has shown themselves to be a champion, you know, without having to ask, that they're not going to quit. You know that they're not going to sell out. That they're in it to win it, and so someone like that, you never have to question them on those types of things because they're tough. They've been in the war situations. They've been in situations that I can't even imagine. And you know, Crenshaw got blown up. He almost died, and he's still suffering all kinds of injuries. And so, yeah, he's a badass. And so that's one reason is that he's tough and he's not going to run from a fight. And I know that. Also, I like his stances on most every issue he has. Thirdly, I think that I've seen him so often on, you know, whether it's CNN or NBC or ABC or Fox or whatever. He's one of the best politicians I've ever seen at articulating a position. Why are you for X, Y, Z? And so a lot of times politicians just are not very good at articulating why they stand for this or that. And he is so effective at that. And so, and again, he had so many committees. He's a great representative for Texas because he's at the top of all these committees on the House, the Defense Committee. He's super involved with the cartels, super involved, and he's the number one guy there, you know, in Congress that's dealing with the cartels. And so, he's just a great guy. Yeah. He's a great guy.
From my experience,
he's a new friend of mine, but he's just a great guy.
No, from what I've seen of him, when I served in the military, like the people that are SEALs or Special Forces or Rangers, it's not just physical ability of being a badass. It's the mental aptitude of these folks too. So they have to function at such a high level, physically and intellectually, that these people are built different. Mm-hmm. So they can perform at a higher level than I can, for example. One thing that always makes me admire about people like Dan, and there is a senator, Senator Birdwell from Texas. He's a state senator, and he was in Pentagon when 9/11 happened. Injured, burned most of his body, same as Dan. He lost an eye. The other eye is like hanging by the thread from what I've heard. And he's still out there.
Oh, yeah.
He's still out there serving. He's risking, after seeing Charlie be assassinated. Mm-hmm. You know how many people hate Dan? And he knows that. Yeah. I asked him about it. I was like, hey, you still risk
any politician. They're all targets, especially if they're conservative.
Yeah, but most politicians did not pay the price that Dan has already paid for his country. Yeah. Like, you've done enough, bro.
Yeah.
But he's still out there doing it. He's still risking his life, and he's risking his reputation, because like sometimes I look at people like Tucker Carlson who attacked Dan Crenshaw over like his stock trades and paint this incredibly deceitful. Is like he's becoming a millionaire over stocks. And I've heard people that I know that are involved in politics hear that and they repeat it. So they assume Dan Crenshaw is doing insider trading. You go and look at his stock trades, it's few $1,000s throughout his whole career.
Yeah.
So like,
well, that's an imaginary problem. I mean, granted, there's like the Pelosi's of the world that have absolutely been abusing the system. So
8,000%. So
there is
in a career.
there are plenty. Now Dan's not one of them, but there are plenty of crooks there in Congress that are manipulating the system and insider trading, and that's a huge problem. You're correct. Dan's not part of that, but a lot of people are.
But I see that as a good thing. When people are going after you over the things that you haven't done to attack you, that means they don't have a real problem with anything you've done. So they got to go make up one.
That's right.
So
that's true.
Kudos to him for like doing all that he did in the military and then is still serving his country.
Oh, he's very focused. He doesn't let negative stuff get in his way. He's focused on what he wants to do, and he just pushes that other stuff to the side.
He's a soldier, true and true.
Yep.
I wish him success. Let me ask you this. People talk to me and they found out I'm a Republican or I'm active within the Republican Party, and I'm also Middle Eastern. So they're like, oh my God.
Mm.
You come from a gay relationship. You're married to a gentleman, Mauricio.
Yeah.
Cool dude. How was the Republican Party to you when you came out? I don't know how you came out, or how did the Republican Party act toward you? Because when they see me, they're like, "Oh, Iranian, you must be a Democrat." No, there's a gasp.
A lot, it's
Do you get that?
I'm pretty much consider myself a hardcore libertarian, and part of a libertarian means that I need to not care how you vote. I should not, I might say, hey, Brian, I disagree with you on this. I'll explain to you why. But I should never not like someone because they vote differently than me, a different party, or have a different viewpoint on a political situation. And so, unfortunately, there's just a lot of people that don't think that way. They think that if you don't see things the way that they do, that you're an evil person, a bad person, and all that. And so, yeah, I get a lot of that. But those are people that I don't really need in my life anyway.
Yeah.
And so,
does anybody in the Republican Party ever acted in anything?
No, I mean, no. The only problems come from the other side. Absolutely, it's like you should be flaming liberal because it's like, no, I'm sorry, dude, that's just not me.
Yeah.
And I don't care if they are. I mean, I don't care if.
Do they ever try to convince you that you belong in the other side because you're gay?
They kind of quit trying because anytime I get into argument about it, they have no position. They're like, oh, they're just like, there's just no.
It's mind.
They can't win an argument, so eventually they just don't even try.
They just give up,
and then and they just say you're a bad man, bad man. So and so that's where it ends up.
Yeah. With me, it's like, hey, you must not have good education, and I'm like, well, what do you consider education? Let's talk about it. Then they stop and like, all right, if you're Middle Eastern. And you're not a Democrat because obviously Republicans hate you because they consider you a terrorist. And like when I joined the Republican Party, it was like 2007. This is right after 9/11, like 3-4 years. And I assumed, because that's what I heard too, that Republicans were racist. So I assumed they were. The first time I went to a Harris County Republican Party, I was so intimidated. I was like, all right, let's not try to talk with an accent or tell them where I'm from. People asked, they found out. They welcomed me with open arms, and I was like, I'm being lied to.
Yeah.
Then you get to know people, and you're like, definitely I'm being lied to. Let me talk to you about the unfortunate events a few months back. I know you had a lot of things to say after the assassination of Charlie Kirk. Where you at now?
It's just, it's a tragedy, but that's one of the things where my faith in God comes in, and that I just have to believe that that God allowed that to happen for a good reason, and there's so many things in life that just seem so unfair and so horrible, and that's just where you just got to have faith and say, hey, God has a reason for it, even though I may not understand it. Yeah. And so it was one of the biggest tragedies of our lifetimes. One of the biggest, most horrible assassinations since JFK, and and it was, 1/10 of an inch from Trump being added to that list.
Yeah,
and so what's going on right now with this assassination kill culture is absolutely horrible, and it's not finished. There's going to be more, unfortunately, and it may get worse before it gets better. But yeah, Charlie was just the most outstanding. He just all he wanted was open dialogue.
Yeah,
he didn't want to. He's hey, I'm here to have an open dialogue with you. Why do you feel this way? Well, I'll tell you why I feel this way. And so the most gentle approach you could possibly have, and And again, we're talking about the kind of, to go back to where we were talking about before, the intolerance. This intolerance is just crazy. And and the left claims to be the party of the tolerant, which is the most ironic thing you can possibly imagine, because it's the right that's tolerant typically and says, well, I don't care what you believe in. I believe in something different than you, but whatever. And the left are like, oh no, if you don't think like me, you deserve to be killed, which is just, and
which is fascism.
yeah, I mean, like I kind of, even before the Kirk assassination, I kind of realized where the left was a little bit, and when I saw the polling after Trump's attempted assassination, the polling showed that over 50% of Democrats wished that assassination attempt were successful. Mm-hmm. And when I saw that, I was like, holy fuck. Over 50% wished he had been killed? And that is like, that blew my mind, but that reset my understanding, unfortunately, to where when that happened to Kirk, I'm like, I get it. 50% of Democrats believe that over 50%, that if you say things that they don't agree with, that you deserve to be killed.
I didn't know the numbers were that high. 50% is insane.
I believe it was like somewhere between 55 and 65%. It was over 50%.
Granted, when you look at it in the biggest scheme of things, this is a party that its platform is abortion for everybody. So if you don't value life, let it be born or unborn, what's the difference to you, right?
That's right.
It's damn. 50%. I knew the numbers were bad. I didn't know
over 50%.
This is insane. That's what happens when you remove God out of the equation.
That is exactly right. Christians believe, hey, the Lord says, "Revenge is mine."
Yeah.
Okay. And people that don't believe in God, I've got to take things in my own hand.
Sometimes you do, and I think most times you do have to take things in your own hand, but there's a civil way of doing it, and there's an irrational, murderous way of doing it. If we are supposed to be a civilized country in the year 2025, this is not the 1500s anymore, that if you disagree with somebody, you just go take their life. That 50% is a scary number. I can't stop thinking.
You go back to
that's a quarter of our country.
Go back to Charlie Kirk. Okay, I mean the vast majority of people on the right are believers in God, and so after Charlie was shot, how many riots, how many fires, how many killings were there? 0, 0, 0, 0, 0.
Prayer vigils.
Okay, exactly. Okay, and the Christians believe that, you know what, God has this under control. So yes, I mean, yeah, you want to do things. I'm going to, maybe if you're a college kid, I'm going to join Turning Point USA because of that. I'm going to do this. I'm going to do that. But they can do things to make the situation better, but they don't have to take vengeance directly. And that's the difference between how the left thinks and how the right thinks. The left, for most on the left, there is no God.
Yeah.
So this guy offended me, I'm going to shoot him.
What's the repercussion?
Yeah.
I'll be a hero.
Yeah.
It's insane because I keep doing the number in my head. That means, like, out of the people that you walk across, 1 out of every 5, given the benefit of the doubt to the numbers, 1 out of every 5 has that same thought process.
That's exactly right. And it's important that we're aware of that.
Hey, there's darkness in this world, that's for sure. But hey, there has been a spiritual revolution since his passing.
Absolutely.
You see people that never believed in God go and buy a Bible. They're listening to his old speeches and then realizing, oh, this guy was not a bigot. This guy is not a racist. This guy is not this and that. Everything that I was led to believe. So, hey, you're right. Look, God has a plan for things that we do not understand.
Absolutely.
He has a plan to prosper us.
For sure.
But damn, that number is just still insane. I can't wrap my head around it.
It's mind-boggling. I mean,
It's like, how do you change the culture, though?
I don't know. I mean, I would assume if you, while Biden was president, if you had polled Republicans, what percentage of you wish he had to get shot? It'd probably be like 1%. You know,
Yeah.
something like yeah. There's of course there's lunatics and
Brother, I
what's not,
found
but
out he had cancer, and I was
probably
sad.
yeah, me too. I'm just like, but it's like, you know, it's probably 1%. You
Yeah.
know, of, the Democrat side, 55.
When he was a president, and I used to see him wander around, look lost. It was funny. I ain't gonna lie. I laughed.
Oh, yeah.
But at the same time, I was like, damn, that reminds me of my grandpa. This dude
Yeah.
should be like at a home somewhere, surrounded
Yeah.
by his family and loved one,
Yeah.
not being embarrassed in the public eye,
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
definitely not doing it as a president of the United States.
No, I mean, think of the risk that put the whole country in. That was a dude that had the nuclear, codes.
Yeah. Well,
Not that he would know what they are.
that's
but
what I'm saying. It's like, what is this box? Is this my
What
lunch?
happens if I push this?
Boom. Hunter, I think you left your bag of cocaine here. Poor guy. No, I hope he.
If I put this bag of cocaine on this button, what's going to happen?
So, do you remember the last State of Union speech that he gave?
Biden?
Yeah.
Oh, no.
The one before the debate. It was like 3 or 4 months before the debate with Donald Trump.
Uh-huh.
He gave a State of Union speech, and he seemed pretty sharp.
Uh-huh.
And within like 3 or 4 months, he got to that debate stage, and he could barely keep his eye open or focus.
Well, I have my theory. I think they would jack him up with drugs before speeches and stuff like that. I believe that the Democrats saw the writing on the wall on that before that debate happened, and they realized that he would have a 0% chance of beating Trump, and so I believe they set him up for failure.
That's
and
the push Kamala.
Yeah, and so I believe that was a planned, because I mean, normally at any debate or whatever, it's going to be so one-sided by whoever's interviewing, that it's a joke, okay? And I was like, oh my God, the questions they're asking are really fair. Like they're being, and it was a complete setup.
Shock.
It was a complete setup to dethrone him.
Yeah.
So I'm pretty sure he was not given his meds, and that also that they told the debate askers, hey, I do not want you to favor this guy, and they probably knew the plan, that this is, we've got to get him out quickly because he has a 0% chance of winning, and we need to replace him very quickly.
But
so I think the whole debate was a giant setup.
I agree, but if you're that smart to see the writing on the wall with Biden, what makes you think Kamala Harris would be a better candidate? I would put that bag of cocaine that Biden was using on the table to do the debate instead of.
It's crazy. I mean, they even if you go back to Hillary, the Democrats just want to anoint people. They don't want people voting on them, and they just their whole theory is that they control the media, they control the narrative, and it can be a dog as president, and really they want somebody. They really do not want someone that's going to have their own mind. Because they want the bureaucracy to rule, and that's
they
exactly
did do that with Biden.
That's exactly what happened with Biden.
Mm-hmm.
Is that Biden didn't come up with one idea as president.
He was in his basement.
He was a
TV
true empty suit, and that's what they wanted. They do not want someone in there, and so they just found who would also be an empty suit, which is Kamala Harris. She doesn't have any ideas. She doesn't know anything, and that's what they wanted.
Yeah,
and they were just hoping that, hey, we're just going to go out there and just say enough negative stuff about Trump that people are just going to vote for anyone other than Trump, and another empty suit will come in, and then us, the bureaucracy, will be able to just do our thing, and run rampant without anyone, including whoever the Democrat, nominee is, or the person, to stop me. Because do you think Biden said no to anything that they want? No, he didn't say no to anything. Kamala, if she had been president, no, she'd just be sitting in there eating her Cheetos and and just
drinking her
what do you want me to what do you want me to sign? What do
recently.
What should I say?
Yeah.
Give me a speech. Give me a speech. What should I say? And so, but that's what they want. They don't want someone with their own ideas.
Who do you think is the next on that side?
Oh man, there is nobody on the radar screen. And the only people on the radar screen are people that I assume are completely unelectable, like AOC. And so
AOC
and Gavin Newsom. I cannot imagine.
Well, Gavin is he's a showman. Like he's like Brock. He has that charisma. He looks good. He can talk bullshit his way.
Well, to me, he looks sleazy as hell. And
but
he's a somewhat attractive guy. And but it's like he has destroyed what was once the greatest state in the union. And completely destroyed it. Talk about the wildfires, the taxes, you go down the list, the homelessness, they're the worst. They have every competitive advantage known to man over other states, and they're the bottom of the barrel in just about any way you look at it. And so the guy has destroyed his state, and I just cannot imagine how the American people would sign up for him as president. It just, even if he is a slick Willie kind of guy, and so and also it's just like if you kind of look at like the Democrats, whether it's Pelosi or Nadler or Hakeem Jeffries or Schumer, they almost all of them look like characters out of Batman, like evil characters out of Batman, like someone like made them up to be like a skit or something. They look like, and they're just like these incredibly unattractive, weird people. And then you look at most on the Republican side, they're just Kristi Noem, go down a list of Marco Rubio, JD Vance, just normal looking good guys and girls, and so that look normal, that talk normal, and most of the Democrats look like someone off of a Saturday Night Live skit or
because
Batman.
They do pick him out of the lineup. AOC was picked that way. Yeah. Mamdani was picked that way. They do hold editions of hundreds, even thousands of people to go interview and express their belief. And you see how they talk, you see how they look, and you see how trainable they are. They literally host events to find the next big thing.
Right.
Mamdani. That dude does like 4 different accents. And Kamala. That was the best thing that I have to say about Kamala. She could do accents in every part of the country. Yeah. And she seemed like she was a native from there. So that's talent.
Yeah. No, it's it's just, the Democrat Party is the party of the bitter, unhappy people. And so they see people like Jerry Nadler, Hakeem, that look like they do. Yeah. They look bitter. They look unhappy. They look, AOC looks like a normal lady, doesn't look bad, but you listen to her talk, you're like, where's a noose so I can hang myself? and so screaming, ranting, raving, and it's like they bitter, unhappy people, that's how they're going to vote. And we've just got to hope there's more people that are not bitter and unhappy than ones that are.
I see the new generation that's coming up, and I have a lot of hope. Especially recently, I think they're smarter than we were at that age, because I have nieces that are like in middle school and high school. Mm-hmm. I always thought like having a phone in your hand was a bad thing, and I still think it could be a bad thing. Yeah, but they have access to so much information that I think they're seeing the crack in the society, and you don't even have to, because they're not a certain age, you don't talk to them about certain stuff, but they see it themselves and they grasp it themselves. So I'm like, all right, in a few years, you got that generation turning 18. Those are the new voters.
That's right.
I feel a little better because I see their friends.
The kids that were absolutely screwed during COVID, that had to wear their mask and couldn't go to class and had to Zoom, and they realized what an absolute, complete, screaming joke that was, how there was no science behind that. And the science that was out there said that the COVID is less deadly to a child than the flu. And we knew that in 2020. And all these kids realized that the government screwed them over so bad. And that is why of our young people, we have the most conservative group of young people that we've ever had in the history of our country, because they lived through getting absolutely screwed in school from that whole COVID masking vaccine.
It was actually
all
bad
that, all
for
that
their
stuff.
lungs. It was
horrible.
Damaging to the children's
Absolutely.
lungs and the oxygen
not
intake.
even we won't even go to the vaccine,
Yeah.
but just the mask alone. And to vaccine, a whole
And
other
that
subject.
one, I blame both parties for it too. It was outrageous forcing people to take that untested vaccine in the name of security.
Yeah, I mean, if it's if it for someone that had some quadruple morbidity, you know what? Maybe I take the vaccine. It was a absolute. If you looked at the scientific data, it was even from 2020, the data that was out in 2020. If you really looked at it correctly, you would say, okay, if I don't have some incredibly horrible heart disease, or I'm not 400 pounds overweight or whatever, it is not worth the risk, because I have a 99.9999 chance of survival if I get COVID.
Yeah.
And I think it was also common sense, herd immunity, common sense day one. That was considered an evil talking point if you said herd immunity. And it's got to pass through everyone.
There was
obvious, and that, of course, that was the case. And so, so the young people that really, I think, who caught the brunt of the shutdowns and lockdowns most were the young people who could not develop themselves by going to school, had to wear the mask when they realized there was no reason. They are very wary of the government. They want to be self-reliant people. They're going to be just very, very. I mean, they're going to be very conservative.
I'm hopeful.
They're very libertarian. I'll put it that way.
Yeah, I was looking at the reports. Las Vegas is seen as biggest decline supposedly, and because the reason for that is Gen Zers are looking for travel spots with nature instead of going to Las Vegas. And they were like, oh, we're worried about Gen Zers, this and that. And at first I was like, Las Vegas is fun. But also, as a man of God, it's called Sin City. It's filled with drugs, alcohol, and gambling.
I didn't know that.
What?
Joking.
I'm like, isn't it a good thing?
I don't know what you're talking about.
I'm like, isn't it a good thing that they don't want to go to Las Vegas? Maybe that's good that they should go to nature instead of going to do everything stupid that I did when I was that age. So maybe Las Vegas should get hurt a little bit. Yeah. I don't want people to lose their job, but hell, good for Gen Zers. Yeah. Go into the nature. Become one with the world. So I'm hopeful. I was a little bit being a grumpy old dude. I'm like, all right, these kids are these are not going to be the kids that's going to fight the next World War. But hey, maybe if we listen to them a little bit, we don't have a World War.
The Gen Zers are going to be fine. I really do.
Yeah.
And so I think they're going to be fine. I think they're gonna really help this country.
Amen to that. Well, let's leave it on a good note. Thank you, Jim. I appreciate your time.
That was great, Brian.
Dude.
Thanks, buddy.
I'm excited about what's to come.
Oh, yeah, me too. Me too. Thanks for having me.